the team ends up like saving this world, and Superboy is telling the team like, "Oh, this is bringing back my glory days. Like it's reminding me of my back when I used to be on Earth." And Pyro was like, "Oh, that's funny. Um, you say you're looking for a new direction, but all it sounds to me is that you're looking for the glory days. You just moving backwards." And he kind of was stuck for a second.
See, she clocked it.
She
I
clocked it.
love
Yes,
meta
pulled it up.
commentary.
Yes, and he was like, "No, I'm like." All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Another Relaunch. I am Crystalia Amakalin, aka Crystal of the Infinity.
Oh, never mind. That's not who I thought it was. Although I do like Crystal. I am Laura Kinney, but not Laura Kinney the Wolverine. I'm Laura Kinney Talon
Oh,
of
okay.
her X-Men team.
A seasoned girl.
Yes, with the gray streak in her Rogue era.
You know what? That is so iconic of my girl Rogue. People,
It
I
is.
naturally call that the
It
Rogue.
is. Like truly, truly. I've never seen anyone who had like a white streak in their hair and somebody was like, okay, Rogue. It's
My
no different.
girl.
It's power.
It's iconic. How are you?
I'm doing well. I celebrated with my little brother earlier this week. He turned 25, which
Oh,
was like
yay.
super exciting. I'm watching all of my siblings. I'm the oldest of five, so I'm watching like all of my siblings like get older, and it's just making me feel a lot older. And it's like, oh my gosh. Luckily, my youngest brother is still very young, so I still feel like I have a child a little bit. But the rest of like just moving on out the nest. It's what I don't know. I'm
Time stops
emotional.
for no man.
But other than that, I am fantastic. It's been beautiful. Well, that's not true. It has not been beautiful. It's been
Oh.
beautiful, but it's it's been very muggy outside and it's like
Oh,
nasty.
good.
But other than that, it's all good. How are you?
I am good. I feeling a little better. You know, I just living.
I mean, that's all you can do sometimes.
you
I've
know.
started watching an anime.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Seven
I
Deadly
love when you
Sins.
say that.
It's called Seven Deadly Sins, and I've
Oh,
been having the
fantastic
time of
anime.
my life. The time of
See,
my
they're
life.
great.
Uh, this one is pretty good.
There's a lot more that are really good. If you like this one, I'm gonna find some other ones that people like. I'm surprised you didn't like Naruto.
Oh my God, that was so boring. Like I was
Oh
so
my gosh.
and like everyone always talk so let me tell you about Naruto. Everyone's always talking about
But
it.
come on, pronunciation.
They're like, oh, it's so good. It's this
It's
and that.
good.
The fight scenes are so good. Oh my God. I had it playing and I was like, so when are they gonna start fighting? When are they gonna stop talking? When are they gonna stop just staying? It was one fight that lasted for like 6 episodes. I was like, this is ridiculous. We could have been past this by now. I was irritated. I don't like
I
it.
like that's hot.
It's not
Especially when they're doing all these different things in each episode. It's not just like a repeat of another fight scene like old school Dragon Ball Z stuff used to be. But it's pretty solid. Especially
I
Naruto
mean,
Shippuden. Good
it's
stuff.
got its fandom, it's got its people. I am not in that mix. Shout out to them though. I know the running thing when people do that. I think that's funny.
Iconic stuff, you know.
Yeah, or something.
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into the updates of the week. Not too much going on, but some interesting and maybe fun news for people our age and who were fans of this back in the day. Jennifer Garner will be returning as Elektra in Deadpool 3, and I have to say that's fun. I'm excited to see her again. Um, People know that I love Elektra. She's one of my favorite kind of street level characters, and I'm not gonna lie. Jennifer Garner's Elektra is the reason why in I don't know, I think it was fifth grade, I made these side popsicle sticks in art class and got like all this extra credit in it, and they were like legit actual size, and it was because of Elektra. She's cool.
Okay. That's cool.
Return of a Queen.
um I Don't have any feelings on it. I'm like interested to see what Jennifer Garner gives. I don't honestly remember the Elektra movie from back in the day. Um,
That wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that much, but I don't remember anything else about it. But like, obviously, like the movies of what they were back at those times, we've seen superhero comics and just like fight choreography and stuff evolve a lot. So I'm interested to see how she comes back in it and like what she gives. So she tries to give a little something different with it. If she kind of plays up the campiness of it. Someone said to me that they were like that version of Elektra is Marvel's version of Catwoman with Halle Berry, and I was like, yes, that feels apt.
I kind of see what they're trying to go for there. Um, different tones, but I see
Definitely.
I see what they were trying to say.
But
You
all
know,
that aside,
both 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 impactful to the games.
both queens.
Two queens.
Both queens. We will give it to them. But I don't know. This entire movie is like obviously banking on a lot of those cameos from the Fox universe coming back. I still feel like it's a Deadpool kills the Fox universe type of situation. But I'm just ready to see which Storm they bring back.
That'll be very interesting. I have a feeling it's going to be Hallie. I don't think
Yeah.
that it's going to be
Alexandra.
Alexandra. No.
Yeah, because she's
I
gonna
think
pop up in the MCU.
she may get the last laugh. That would
She's
be
gonna get
funny.
the last laugh. She told y'all. She told y'all. But no, I do really think it's gonna be Harry, probably Femke. Of course, they're gonna bring out Xavier and Magneto. They will not let Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen like sleep for a day. So
I mean, I also think they're going to bring back Chris Evans to be Human Torch. I think
that
that
would be fun.
but I also don't think this movie is going to be a big cameo fest. I just do think that there will be some cameos, sprinkled through by whichever actor picked up the phone and needed to check. So,
I mean, yes, also agree with that. But no, I do kind of still think it's gonna be a little cameo effect. I think a lot of the cameos are him gonna be just like him killing them,
hmm,
like quick, poof, 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 like oh, there you go.
yeah, I don't think that they're going to be these pivotal characters. One of them may be a MacGuffin to get him from point A to point B. But like, I saw some people being very upset that Elektra was returning to this because they were like, "Why are they bringing Jennifer Garner back?" And it's like, I think y'all, she's gonna be in maybe 10 minutes of this 2 hour movie. I think it's okay. She's not like about to ruin your Deadpool movie.
Honestly, watching the one I'm most excited for is Channing Tatum coming in as Gambit.
And that would be funny.
That is what I really want to see. But it's also making me realize as all of these things get announced and they talk about these people coming back, it is really reminding me that I do not like the Fox movies.
They were not good.
And like every time I've been seeing a lot of people, they're like, oh, Famke is going to be in it, Holly's going to be in it, Jennifer Garner's Elektra's going to be in it. They think Jessica Alba's Invisible Woman's going to pop up, and they're like, oh, it's a mother convention. And I was just like, uh,
It's
I see it.
nostalgia. It's
I
nostalgia.
see it from the sense of like the women and the actresses and who they are, absolutely. But like, no, like nothing about any of these characters coming back in any capacity excites me whatsoever.
They weren't the best adaptations of those characters, y'all, but they were fun at the time. So,
So
and
were
it's gonna
they?
be fun. They
I
were
remember
fun.
being I remember being consistently upset at X-Men movies.
Yes.
Uh
Well, yes. Well, yes.
I remember when those were coming out, and I
Yes.
remember getting mad very often.
I
The
remember being very upset at X3 as a kid when that came out.
And then they tried to bring that lady in and say she was Psylocke, and then she had the Crimson Dawn mark on her eye, and she was melting out the shadows, and she didn't even melt out of a shadow. She just popped up out of
She
nowhere.
popped. She literally was like, "That is wild." And that was me at like my peak Phoenix standing. And that is what you gave me.
Oh my god! Just the horrible choices all around. The Fantastic Four movies, I honestly don't remember too much about. Obviously,
They were
Jessica
fun.
Alba, I was like a really big fan of her, so like I watched them for that, but I can't remember too much. Just the Fantastic Four, and then the second one was about the Silver Surfer, so I was like, oh yeah, you really lost me.
The second one wasn't
And
great.
the Electro,
Daredevil.
Ben Affleck back as Daredevil, you know, that's going
I
to
don't
be
think he's coming back. I don't think they're gonna have the both of them on set, y'all.
So when I saw it, that's immediately what I thought. I was like, are they going to be in sisters? But I guess they get along. They got kids together, don't they?
Yeah, but I think it's like drop them off and pick them up. I don't think they're kicking it like that, you
I
know.
don't know.
Um,
We'll see. I'm interested
but
to see what they wear. If they're going to put Jennifer Garner back in that Elektra costume, I think that'll be funny. They need to give her a
yeah,
little upgrade.
they probably might do a little something, you know. Allegedly, Wolverine's gonna be in a blue and yellow costume in this.
And that's another thing. I don't even care about that. I feel like
Yeah.
that's something we always asked about for a very long time. You see the X Men in their classic costumes, Wolverine, especially in like blue or yellow or tan and brown. And now that's happening. It's just like, I don't care.
hmm I'm ready for like the MCU versions of them.
I don't, e- I don't even know if I'm ready for that. That's kind of scary too. But I just don't care about nothing that Fox was doing. Leave me alone. Go away.
They're about to give them time. They're coming out,
No, they've had
and
enough
allegedly they've
time.
already finished filming Deadpool 3. So, well, no, they didn't. Clearly, they filmed this extra scenes with her, but I think probably like principal production probably finished these extra scenes. Again, if they finished it, they this is probably just a little something.
It's too much of something.
Maybe she had a hookup or something. It's like, you want to be in this movie real quick?
I mean, I'm not mad at it. Jennifer Garner, get your check. You know what I'm
Get your
saying?
check, Queenie.
It's
She put her
Electra.
life on hold for that man.
She
And
did.
it was this movie, like she was supposed to be the big action girl. And then she put her life on hold for that man. So let her go ahead and pick up those side one last time.
I'm not mad at it. Like, come back, do it. But again, like, I just think, just the Fox movies in general, I'm good. Like, let's let them have their last hurrah, put them to bed. I don't ever want to hear about these movies again.
We can all move on.
Any of
Well, all right, y'all. On that note, let's go ahead and take a break and then we'll come right back.
them. Ooh la 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 la. Hello everyone and welcome back to another week, another Pool Comics. Um, are you reading the Night Terrors event for DC?
I wasn't thinking I was going to, but I've seen some things that I thought maybe I might want to tap into.
It's kind of so a bunch of their series came out this week. You know, I always said I was going to check back into it for Zatanna because she's getting her little two issues. But you know, it's horror stuff. I like horror, so I decided to check out a few more. They're really kind of good. You know what I've been noticing about DC is they've been doing this thing, the future states, the death metals, the night terrors, which honestly the stories don't really seem, I guess, necessary. They're just kind of like fun little vignettes, but they're, if anything, a huge showcase for the artists. And the
Yes,
artists who have been on these books are really turning out. And if you go and look up some of the variant covers for the various series, they look
they look
amazing.
good.
Like everything looks really good. So I do kind of appreciate that DC is like continuing to focus on the artists and like showcase the talent that they have and like put it out there in some way and like just give them those moments. So that's really cool. So if you're into stuff like that, check out some of those Night Terrors books. There was also a Blade Infinity comic that came out this week that is showcasing his like life and journey up to the solo that's about to launch this month. It's written by Bryan Edward Hill. So Bryan Hill did an interview like I want to say a week or two ago, and he was talking about Blade and some of the stuff that he's going to be doing for the run, and how he like wasn't really a huge fan of the Vampire Sheriff stuff, and so this Infinity
Oh,
comic is kind of leading up to why Blade is like leaving that thing. I personally thought that status quo was kind of fun, but when he talked about it, he was like, he sees Blade more as like this, just a different type of cool. And he was like, so he felt like it was time to move him away from that and then kind of get him into this thing of what he felt like people more is want in line with the character. And don't get me wrong, it's hot. The little Infinity comic is hot. So check that out before the book comes out. Doctor Strange #5 came out. It has Strange and Clea going to the wedding of her mother. And of course, things never go the way that you planned there. Captain America 750 also dropped this week. That
mm,
is This is the final issue for Sam and like the current Cap comics that's been going on. Steve still has one more issue coming up that drops next month that's going to finish off his story. But like this was just a little vignette of stories. So Sam and Steve together, like obviously doing the Captain thing. There's like a flashback of Sam and Misty right before he picks up the shield again to become Captain America, and like how Misty actually got the shield for him. He was like, "This is what you need to do. Stop playing like you actually want to be Falcon."
Oh,
And
that's
then it
nice.
talked to, yeah, and then it talked about like some of Steve's stuff and the stuff that he's going on that's going to lead into the rest of his book with Bucky and all of that. So it was a cute little finale for them. And X-Men Before the Fall also came out this week. It was Sinister and Mother Righteous. If you're into Sinister and Mother Righteous, then this story is for you, and it's leading up to the fall of X for the X-Men. I personally don't see it for either, but well,
That's a king. He been there. That's a king.
and it's crazy because I really used to love Sinister. Like, I don't know. I guess it's just the oversaturation of him. He's everywhere, and like I need a break for a little bit.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, those are our mentions. Let's get into a couple of our main books of the week. We're starting off with your reread, as always. We're in Annihilation, Super-Skrulls, and we got issues 3 and 4. Tell us all about it.
Yes. Yes. So again, Super-Skrull is a nasty, nasty man. I knew he was a pretty rough villain. But he is very rough in this. And I guess I probably would have never really known it because this is like a mini series focused on him. So they really get to kind of like show more of his personality and his character in it. But issue three opens up, and previously I had said that he had this interaction with the Annihilation Wave. They had this planet destroyer thing. He was like, I'm going to go find the scientists who made it. The scientists in the negative zone. He used Reed Richards to get him into the negative zone. He said, okay, I'm going to kill the scientists, and I'm also going to recruit a team of people to help me come back out and fight the Annihilation Wave. This issue opens up when there's this robot girl named Praxagora, and she's basically saying how her life was different before all this, and she's seeing Super-Skrull come into the prison and like break him out. So this is kind of shown from her point of view, which I thought was an interesting way to kind of show you that there's like a love thing kind of fostering between them because we're seeing things through her eyes. She just saw him as this like great warrior. Um, then later on, they're like trying to break out to the prison. They end up finding the prisoner who was the guy who made this like planet destroyer weapon, torture him like very nasty torture. They rip off his limbs. It's wild. And he ends up getting the information on how to like destroy this bomb, and then he like basically Super-Skrull ends up forming his own team with this Praxagora girl and like a few other of the other prisoners in here. Now, later on in the issue, like a bunch of different of the Annihilation Wave comes in, and they end up taking Super-Skrull prisoner, him and the Praxagora girl. And he's Super-Skrull is telling this story about how like, oh, I used to have this son, and I haven't seen him in a long time, but he was on this planet. I think it was called like Zarganza. He's like, oh, I've got this son that's on this planet Zarganza, and the guy is like, well, sure enough, we're actually about to blow that up. And they blow it up. So Super-Skrull is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like my son has just been killed. And it's wild because you read these kind of comics and you kind of think, at least I did anyway, that oh, this is giving this like humanizing story for Super-Skrull. There's probably gonna be a moment where he meets his son at the end of this or something, but no, he did. So that ain't gonna happen.
It's like, oh well.
Oh well. So then like issue four opens up and we're seeing how like Super-Skrull is trying to break out of his chains, and him and his teammates are just kind of stuck there. Again, he had this like little Skrull kid who saw Super-Skrull as like this like icon to him, but then he learned how like mean and nasty he was, and he wanted to get away. Turns out he ended up joining the other side, joining the Annihilation Bug, who um, was torturing Super-Skrull. He was like, yes, of course, like I helped them do all of this. Like you are a nasty man. And all that is turned upside down because I completely forgot that Super-Skrulls have hypnotic abilities. Um, they can like hypnotize people if you look at them. And
Super-Skrull's got too much going on.
well, that's every scroll. They usually
That's
do that
still
when
too
they
much
want to
more.
take over your
Oh,
your
for the
person.
mind and thing and all that sort of. Okay.
Yes. So he ends up using that ability on the little kid and uses him to break him out of his uh, like prison, out of his cups and everything. He ends up fighting everybody with the Fantastic Four powers, um, killing his prisoner, killing a bunch of these other different a bunch of these other annihilation waves. Then they end up being kind of overrun. The robot girl is like, okay, like I'll be here to fight them off. You guys get out of here. Super-Skrull's all right, bye. He leaves, and he of course ends up running into the little kid who was trying to also leave and get off the ship. The little kid tries to like fight him back, and again, I thought there was gonna be like a heart to heart moment where Super-Skrull was gonna say, I understand you thought I was a different person, but I'm actually trying to just like save our people. He ends up like ripping the limbs off of the little boy and tying him to the ship and was like, "No, you're gonna suffer for what you did.
Oh my
Like you helped
gosh.
me." It was wild. I was like, "This is crazy." And again, the robot girl ends up like fighting everybody, and she ends up being killed. And before she ends up dying, she kisses um, the Super Scroll, but I guess she didn't end up dying because like the robot, I guess, because they showed the last issue. It's like 5,000 years in the future. She's still alive, and there's this big monument to Super-Skrull on their new planet of New Zarganza.
This was traumatizing.
It was a wild mini. I will say
Who
that
wrote this?
this was written by, hang on, child, um, Javier Grillo Marcox. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but yeah, that was the writer.
I don't know
Maybe
what
they
that.
just let him cut loose. Again,
I
I guess he was
see.
fighting since he was fighting random squirrels and random the annihilation wave. Let him go for it, and you really see that Kalart is like ruthless.
Okay. Well, I guess that's what you kind of expect for those type of characters too. So I guess he gets the job across.
Now, rumor is they're trying to turn either Talos or another character on Secret Invasion, like basically into Kalart. I hope that they just end up just bringing this version of him in instead of trying
Mm.
to like make their own MCU version.
You
Um,
know,
but you know how they do.
I was about to say it's the MCU, so you can never be too sure.
You
Oh
know
no.
how they do.
That's okay. Was this the end of the mini altogether?
Yes, this was the end of the mini. Yes.
Okay.
Wait, let me the next one because
I know like the annihilation stuff is still going on, but I just meant for the Super Skull person.
yeah, Super Skull, his portion is done. Next up, um, will be Super Silver Surfer.
Oh my gosh, how long before we get to Star Lord? What's going on?
Um, is he not this? I'm looking at it right now, and do you not have a mini in this? They don't include it.
He had one. That's how I got in Star Lord.
Annihilation Star Lord.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel reading order, y'all didn't put it in here. I'm gonna have to look it up and see where we can add him in, so
It's the
we could be
haters.
so I can see what that. But yeah, Silver Surfer is supposed to be next.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read that one with you. But when you get to the when you get to the other one, then yeah, I'll definitely be there for that. Nonetheless, getting into our so like, how did you feel about this overall? What would you rate it?
Overall, like the whole mini, I would probably give like maybe a 3 out of 5. I will say that it gave me like a different view of like Super Scroll. Like I knew that he was like the general kind of character of the Skrulls, that kind of archetype where they're like
Yeah.
kind of mean and ruthless. But like when he killed the little boy, I was like, dang, I thought that we were gonna at least like, he was the adorable little sidekick. But
He
no.
said no.
No,
Traders
you
get to
turned
the
on
bat.
me.
I don't know. I kind of respect it. I'm not gonna lie.
He
You
was
know
not he
me.
was not playing.
You know me. Okay. Well, oh, I also looked it up. So that Star Lord thing, it's called Annihilation Conquest Star Lord. I don't know if that makes a difference for anything, but
Oh
that's
wait, let me see. Because now I'm wondering. Annihilation Conquest Star Lord.
I don't know if the conquest was like something different, but I definitely remember it was Annihilation in the title.
It's not on here either.
It's the haters. The
They
MC
hate it.
has truly like ruined his reputation, and it's so sad to me because the man
Yeah.
you saw in those movies is not the man in the comics. But nonetheless, we'll find a way for you to put that in there, and we'll get to it. Uh, Next up, we reread is The Authority #10 from Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch.
Yes. Okay. So again, last issue I told y'all that there was these like flying turds that came and landed on the planets, and they basically have all these like weird aliens in them. And I swear, y'all watched on the people out there watching on YouTube, you see what I meant. And in this issue, we see that Apollo and Midnighter are in Tokyo, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't. We're here in Tokyo. We don't see anything. Like nothing's happening." Um, and Midnighter is like, "Actually, Jenny, there is some things going on. Look up. Where it looks like something's gonna happen." And Apollo's like, "What? I don't see anything," which I thought was an interesting way to show how Midnighter's senses are just like more acute than Apollo's, even though he's like stronger. And of course, like I do kind of like when Midnighter kind of points for Apollo to go and get something and handle it, and because he's like, "Oh, look up in the sky," and Apollo just flies off and goes into like this crazy rampage against all of these big flying kind of turd looking things. And I thought that was really, really cool to see. But again, he ends up getting like overwhelmed by all of it because in the inside of these like cocoons are these also like alien things. They're ship or like talon kind of things. They look like the end of Nightcrawler's tail, kind of the best way I can describe how they look. They're like kind of
Okay.
shaped like that, and they can like kind of stab people. Midnighter's down there like fighting them and doing the really cool moves. Apollo is like, we need some backup. Like, people got to get down here, and all these people in there's happening in Japan. Were just being wrecked. Also, the city boy ends up showing up, doing his thing
The
while he's out
king.
there. um,
King.
Meanwhile, the pieces of this thing did actually land in Africa as well. I think previously in the last issue, I had said that they also landed on the moon. We'll get there. But they were in Africa, and when they took a teleport over to kind of, by they, I mean the authority, and this is Jenny Sparks, Hawksmoor, and I'm sorry, Swift is her name, and the engineer. Those three ladies go to Africa. As soon as they get there, Swift and Jenny are like choking out. They're like, "Oh, I can't breathe," and they're like, "What's going on?" It turns out that this creature thing that also landed in Africa is trying to terraform it into its own planet, but its planet isn't breathable for human beings, so they like have to leave. And for the rest of the issue, the engineer is like out there doing really cool stuff with her power. She's like, again, she's kind of like Cyborg, and kind of like an android kind of character. And um, I thought that was a really cool way to give a character something to do on the team. When so we may feel like they don't always have anything to do because another character could do something, or like, oh, what is everybody gonna do if Apollo is there? But I think that this is really cool when you have something, you do something to give another character kind of a spotlight. Um, Meanwhile, back at the base, Jenny and Swift are like kind of annoyed that they can't be out there helping because they are just kind of sitting back on the ship, but they can't go out and help in Africa, and then everything is kind of being taken care of in Japan. And then all of a sudden, Jenny is like, "Oh my gosh, um, we know that this is happening on the moon. Apollo sterilized the moon." And Minard is like, "Can you do that?" He's like, "I guess we're gonna see." So he goes up there to the moon and is doing all this crazy stuff with his powers and taking out these people. Meanwhile, the doctor is like the magic character of the team. He's having this like psychedelic trip and talking to all his past lives. We get to see all of the different doctors. Again, they have like kind of like the Avatar, where there's like a cycle of them, and the next person will become a doctor or whatever. You can commune with all of your past lives, and he's telling everyone about how these people used to own the planet, and like they're coming back for it, and you have to make sure that they like don't inherit it, like go out there and use your abilities. But then the issue ends, and there's like this big triangle blocking out the sun. So next issue probably more action. This is an
These things,
action-packed series.
yeah, Warren Ellis is the king of action. You know, this issue and the things that you talk about, it's really triggering because it just makes my irrational fears flare up. Like two of the scariest things I think could possibly happen in the world is like something happening on the moon and then it like breaks apart and all the pieces start falling to Earth. And then the other thing is like something happening to the sun and it like being blocked out for some particular reason and we like lose all the emissions from it. And just hearing this, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Apollo like flying up to the moon and doing a bunch of stuff. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. Why are you up there?
They gotta defend it. It was an alien.
It's crazy fighting on the moon. And then when it ugh, I'm getting shivers. Well, I don't know. What did you think of the issue?
A great issue. I really did. I really enjoyed the way that, again, like it's a team and everybody is given something to do on the team. The challenges are thrown in a way that, yes, Apollo gets to show off with because he's got like, the super strength and flight and all that kind of stuff. But everybody else isn't just standing around waiting for him to do it. Everybody's doing their part. And even in places where they may not have had a part, one is created for them. Like I said, with this engineer situation where she comes to Africa and she's the only one who can survive out there, while this like sludge is trying to terraform the world. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would probably give this issue a 3.75 out of 5.
Okay, 3.75. I like that.
Yeah,
I can see
yeah,
with
yeah.
that. All
It did.
right. Now jumping back to the present with our main books of the week, another LZ exclusive, Superboy #3 from Kenny Porter and Jahnoy Lindsay. And Superboy, is this a miniseries? Did I ask that already?
Maybe and yes.
Okay.
um, Wait, I feel like those that could be interpreted wrong, but you did ask that before, and this is a miniseries. I think maybe it could, get pushed into an ongoing with enough sales.
Yes,
So
because this is the one that won the round robin. But
yes, this is
yes,
this is
yes,
the
I
one that won
remember.
the
Yeah,
round robin vote.
okay, okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, yes. So previously, Superboy was helping out the Cosmeteers. He was on the ship with them, like doing all this really cool stuff with his powers and his psychic energy blasts. And in this issue, we see him like completely destroy this ship. Everyone's kind of in awe at him, and you know, he's coming back to the team. I told you before there was this girl Pyra. She's got the abilities to kind of grow and shrink. Um, Trav is the technopath, and the other guy is, I think, it's Toma too. He's just like, have you ever seen in the Green Lantern people, Toma Ray? He's got like a little fish head.
No.
Okay, whatever. He's got the he's the same kind of. This creature is the same kind of alien, but he's got super speed. Um, and the team ends up like saving this world, and Superboy is telling the team like, oh, this is bringing back my glory days, like it's reminding me of my back when I used to be on Earth. And Pyro was like, oh, that's funny. um you say you're looking for a new direction, but all it sounds to me is that you're looking for the glory days. You just moving backwards. And he kind of was stuck for a second.
See, she clocked it. She clocked
She
it. I
clocked it.
love
Yes,
meta
it was her love.
commentary.
Yes. He was like, no, I'm like finding my new direction. I'm striking out like I'm doing it on my own. She was like, first of all, you're not on your own. Like you with a whole bunch of people around you. um, and second
You
of
got
all,
a
it
whole
sounds like you're trying
family.
to,
You got an S on your chest. What are you talking about?
he said, it seems like you're trying to like recreate the past, instead of actually forging a new path for yourself. So I thought that was kind of great for her to kind of clock him. But they say, Travis coming in like, I thank you for the help. Like, if you really want to show us you are out here trying to do your own thing, help us do this one final mission, and then you can be on your way. He said, all right, cool. Like, I'll help you guys out. So for the next 2 weeks, they are like rescuing people on this planet and giving them these rings and letting everybody know, like, oh, you guys are all Cosmeteers now. Like, being like, seems like they're all being really helpful. But like, it turns out they were not, because Trav is like, okay, when we like fight the villains, we'll have a Green Lantern, like whoever sector this is, we'll have a Green Lantern come and pick up the villains. Now, Superboy goes and leaves, and Trav never called the people to come in he never called the Green Lantern to come and pick up the villains. He just told Superboy, "Okay, we got another mission over here. Like we're gonna go. Just meet us there." Superboy's like, "All right, cool, that's fine. Like I'll meet you guys there." He ends up calling the Green Lantern on his own. He's like, "Can you come and pick up these villains? And did anybody else ever call you?" And Green Lantern's like, "No, that never happened." So Superboy's like, "What's going on?" Um, they end up having supposedly having a heart to heart, but that of course did not go the way that it was supposed to because of this situation. It turns out like Travis doing some weird, he might be the villain kind of thing here because he ended up killing those people, the villains who were supposed to get picked up by the Green Lantern. Like
No
really
surprise.
killed them. Because the Green Lantern, when he showed up, he was like, there are no villains here, it's just blood. So
I don't know what you thought you
I
left.
don't know what y'all thought was supposed to be I was supposed to pick up, but there's nobody here. Um, so, and that's kind of how the issue ends. So I guess we're going to really be seeing how that kind of comes to a head and what Superboy has to do there. There was a backup issue, a Green Lantern. It's called The Birth of Conspiracy. It's an Alan Scott issue. Again, it was one of the round robin finalists because it seems to me like for this entire Superboy run, even though he won, all of the minis that were pitched are still being produced. They're just backups.
DC really
Yeah,
wants that backup thing. Those are like great.
yeah, I agree. The competition needs to start doing it too, but that's
Well,
too much like right.
what would you rate this issue?
I would give this issue a 3.7 out of 5.
Okay.
3.75 out of 5. I really liked it. I'm really enjoying the Superboy run. Um,
Mhm.
Homegirl did clock him that
Yeah.
that it does kind of while I've been enjoying it, it is something where it's like, oh, you really are just like recreating a team again and trying to do a whole Teen Titans basically. You're not really creating a new path for yourself. So I'm interested to see where they kind of take that. Team
Okay.
to be checked on that anyway.
Okay. All right. I'm excited for you to see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right, and moving into our final book of the week is X-Men number 24, and that's from Gerry Duggan and Stefano Caselli. Um, you know what a clip show is, right? Like when TV shows, they like just do a bunch of random clips. That's kind of what I felt like this issue was. There was like a
A
bunch of
montage.
a montage, a bunch of little random moments happening throughout the issue. It's obviously like leading up to something bigger. But nonetheless, we'll talk about it. We start off with Kid Cable has returned. And he is breaking into what seems to be an Orcus facility. He's like talking to his little like techno computer time traveling thing, trying to figure out if he made it back on time. He's talking about, he doesn't want another mutant massacre to happen. She's like, correct. The Hellfire Gala will be in 24 hours. He's like, no, the events will never happen. As he breaks in, he runs into Omega Sentinel, Moira X, and Nimrod. They jump him. It doesn't turn out very well. um, and then we like
It
so
does
for the
not.
issue we kind of like continue to cut through to various points. We go to Destiny and Rogue, who we see. Destiny seems to be giving Rogue like another one of the speeches that I feel like she gave her at the beginning of the Rogue and Gamma miniseries, where she was like, "You need to go find Manifold. He's very important. All of these things will happen. Somebody will betray the team, these people will die, something like's going on." Rogue's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what any of that means. The Destiny is like, exactly, that's how it should be. She goes, um, next up
And
we cut
she kind
to
of told her like, let me go tell the X Men about this, and Destiny's like, no, you can't because my visions say the
like
visions
just
say.
irritating, just irritating. Like, what are you talking about? We cut next to the X-Men team. They're back on Game World, and your Pog from X of Swords has returned, and it looks like he's got like some lizard babies or some lizard replicas, little mini me's of him, and the X-Men get into a big fight with him. They eventually win, of course. They're making their jokes. I'm sorry, I love the Year Two team. I don't know what everybody got against them. Talon's hot, Firestar's given, Magic was being useful. Forge is over on the side. He's having a bit of an existential crisis just because of all the things that are going on. Of course, we are right on the heels of the gala, so they got to start throwing those hints in about who's leaving and why they're leaving and why they don't want to do this anymore. After the team wins, they decide to head back. Jean and Scott finally decide that, well, I'm sorry, Jean decides that they need to have a talk.
Yeah.
And Scott gets pulled into that, so they go to what seems like the astral plane, and they just kind of have a talk about everything that's been going on in the relationship, from the brood stuff that's happening. Jean brings up how she helped to create Araco, and Scott has never even like set foot on the planet, and he starts talking about like why he hasn't, and how he's just getting into his normal kind of pessimistic Scott type of vibes about humans and how they treat mutants and where he stands. And she's telling him like, you know, you think like these people, and I'm not saying that as a compliment. She ends it off by saying she's going to quit the X-Men team at the gala, and she know if he's going to join, he knows where to find her. She knows what to do, and then they kind of go off from there. We see Jean. She goes back to check on Lorna, who seems to be a little sad just about a lot of things that are going on. You know, Magneto has died, and that seems to be taking its toll on her. It feels like they are building her
Unable to
up.
be resurrected.
He can't be resurrected, but he knew that, so whatever. You know, it looks like they're building her up for a little like rising moment, so I thought that was cute. And then at the end of the issue, we go to Magic. She goes to pick up Sunfire, and she teleports him to Otherworld. She makes some like really weird claims that like she don't know what she's talking about. She's like, oh, you know, time works differently here, but no, it doesn't. Or maybe I don't know. Who knows the rules? Like, girl, stop talking if you don't know what you're talking about, because that's not true. Um, but and I also don't. I'm not gonna get into that because I already got into an argument with somebody about her teleporting in the other world, and I don't want to do it again. But she drops him off. She's like, you know, go give her a route. Let me know when you're ready. Next thing you know, we don't ever see her again. I'm assuming, of course, obviously, because something might happen at the gala that prevents her from coming back to pick him up. But Sunfire also seems to be like lost out in Otherworld. We see like X months later, he has a little mini Red Root with him. He's got his flame. He's walking in the dark in the snow, and it says we're going to continue his story on X-Men Unlimited, which also I think is a really great thing that Marvel Comics have done. The Infinity Comics, clear. But all in all, that was the end of the issue. Next, we're going to be riding up to the gala, and we're finally going to see what goes down in this event that Cable is trying to prevent. And just like all the events that we've been getting to leading up to that, I'm personally very excited. The Hellfire Gala is one of my favorite times of the year. I'm also excited to see who won the vote, although I'm pretty sure I already know. It was one or two
Yeah,
people. But
it was really only one. Let's be serious here.
uh, but this issue as a whole, I'm not gonna lie to you, it wasn't really my favorite. I understand the reasoning for kind of like setting up all the future plots that we have going. I think it could have been a little bit more seamless in terms of the writing. The Scott and Jean conversation, I think, kind of showed the worst of their characters. Like, you know, like no matter who you agree with on the side of like what they're thinking about, I think that Scott obviously is a character who can lean too heavy into the pessimism, and I think Jean is one who can lean too heavily into the like optimistic.
Optimism.
Everything is love. Like she literally says to Scott, like love will save us. No, you need to be serious.
I had
But
to laugh.
I think that it's also kind of like a testament to Jean and the character itself. I think one of the things that like people forget is that Jean was dead for a very long time, like 10, 11 years in comic universe, or in real world time. And so during the time she was dead, we saw like kind of the worst of mutant history. Fox had the rights, the MCU was popping, they wanted to push the Inhumans, so they started doing a lot of like really terrible stuff to the mutants. We had the Inhuman gas cloud, they got moved to Limbo, you know, just like on and on and on. And Jean's character wasn't there for a lot of that. And I feel like I would be able to buy some of this characterization that she has a little bit more if they kind of emphasize that. Like, yeah, of course, you still think like love will save us and we can do this the right way. You missed out on everything that was really going on when it got super bad for us. And it's just like, or Lean and Scott was like, you know, again, this is why I do feel this way and like how you don't understand. But it's building the divide in the relationship. It's this drama and the soap that we're used to for Jean and Scott. It does look like they're both leaving the team. So I'm interested to see how they get resolved, how they get it resolved, and like where they both go, because we do know Gina has her miniseries coming out for Fall of X. But
You think they might get a mini series of Mr. and Mrs. X?
yeah, they do not deserve that name.
I'm just wondering if they, I don't know if they'll ever really break them up, but that sounds like something they would give them.
I don't see them breaking up. And honestly, I don't think, you know, I say this as the person who's like very much a fan of Scott and Emma. It's Gene and Scott forever.
Yeah.
It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Like they are the couple. They're an iconic couple. They have been there since the beginning of the X-Men. They do all of these things. When when you look at like Scott and Emma, they were hot. You know what I'm saying? He was like really going into the rebellious kind of like revolutionary. She was the bad girl who was egging him on and like, yes, I'm down here by your side. I think Gene and Scott grounds both of them. Like when he gets too bad, she's like, "Come on now, love's the answer." When she gets too up on her high horse, he's like, "You
Let's be
need to chill
serious.
out and remember what it is." And so like I think they balance each other out in a very good way. And also when she's not with him, she only goes to Logan, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like you said, it's some fun soap and stuff, but it'll be interesting to see how they kind of like stick the landing with this. Again, this issue to me felt like a lot of what after I would say after that year one team felt like, where it was just set up for a lot of Krakoa and like the other books that actually staying and doing a lot with the team and their dynamics.
Agreed. I agree with that fully. But again, we already know Jean's leaving. We get the feeling Forge is leaving. We already know Magic is somewhere else. Iceman is somewhere else. Scott, we don't know what he's doing. So we'll still see if like he leaves the team with Gene or not. But Sync, Talon, and Firestar are there, and it looks like they're being kind of set up to be the next Trinity for year 3. And I'm excited to see them carry.
We will see. We will see. I wonder if Lorna's gonna come back to the X Men.
That would
It
be
sounds like
cute.
it feels like it.
That would be really cute. You know, from what, so like we know Sync, Talon, Firestar. We already know that Kate is coming in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what's scary.
Forgot about that.
So we have a few more slots. Again, I'm really excited to get that like next team shot that they do at the gala. See year 3, see where we go. They're good. I feel like Sync and Talon especially are kind of like being built up to obviously be the next leads of the team. And just in terms of the story that they've been going through from the vault, fighting for centuries, being separated, getting back together, leading mutants through their darkest, and leading the X-Men specifically through what looks to be one of their darkest periods in history. And then Firestar like really coming in and like earning her spot as an X-Men and a mutant and like fighting for her people and like everything. I don't know. It's hot. I like it. I do think some of the writing in this issue was a little ham-fisted, of course, but I do
Yes,
appreciate what it's set up, and I'm excited for the future. I will say that.
I had to
All in
roll my
all,
eyes during that Cyclops speech.
he's so irritating. I'm so glad they're gonna be gone.
First
Uh,
two, Gene talking about love is love,
yes,
and him
they.
giving all them descriptions. I was like, oh my god, this.
That's why they belong together. But nonetheless, what about you? Did you like Lorna's moment? Were you into it?
I did. I appreciated it that it happened finally, where we see her kind of,
Yeah.
having some kind of reaction to her father uh, passing, and I do think it is because he's unable to be resurrected. They still are in a thing where resurrection is possible. So she learned that he was not able to be resurrected. I'm sure she thought, I can go into this mission with Captain Marvel and go rescue Rogue, and by the time I come back, he'll be resurrected, and I can go be an acolyte again. So it's like I'm not on the X Men, and you see her kind of reiterate, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in like my room on the X Men right now, crying. I know I'm not supposed to be on the team." And Jean says, like, once the X Men on, it's an X Men. So I'm wondering if we kind of see her and have a get up moment and be like, "Oh, I'm in on the X Men and I'm on a team."
That would be
Hopefully
cute.
not in that damn mini dress, because
I
let's
was
be
just about
serious.
to say she's gonna bring the skirt back and it's gonna be on. I'm sorry that you hate it. It's hot. I don't know what you
We
want.
gotta
It's
be
hot.
serious.
It's so hot. Um, what would you rate this issue overall?
I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree. That feels
Yeah,
very fair. We'll see. The gala is coming. I'm very excited for that.
yeah, we'll see. I
We
hope, I
will.
hope the, I hope it's fun. Nimrod will be there. It's my boy.
Nimrod, my only hope is that they like announce the vote winner they do like their team shot, and then Nimrod comes in and ruins everything. Like, don't mess anything up before that. Let me have a little bit of fun, then come kill whoever you need to kill.
Hmm. Do you think Talon or Wolverine getting chopped at the gala?
The Queen?
Is
No.
that how we get rid of one of them by letting Nimrod do it?
Oh, maybe Wolverine, because she's a clone. But Talon's the OG. And
Nimrod don't know or care.
and they decided on which one of them would get resurrection. Oh, I guess maybe something happens with resurrection too. But if they decide to figure out a way to fix that, when they decided who was going to get the resurrection, Talon won. Wolverine was like, "You can keep it because I don't plan on dying," quote unquote. Perfect foreshadowing to show that she dies.
Well, it might have been foreshadowing that she does.
Oh well. Let's go ahead and take a break and then we'll come on back.
Let's do it. Child, here we go. Let's get to talking about them.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about Firestar winning the vote again. And wow, what a moment in history.
It is.
Love
Shout out to the winners.
Shout out to
Shout out
the
to shout
winners.
out to the winners.
Maybe depending on who your three wins. We'll see. There was a
We'll
couple
see.
people on that list. Marvel was saying that like there were three characters who were like all kind of jumping back and forth between the top spots. So if it was Dazzler, we'll cheer. If it wasn't, well, welcome back everyone to another week. This week we watched the third episode of Secret Invasion, and I'm gonna kind of like get into the series just like broadly. I've been seeing a lot of like chatter about it in terms of like the pacing and things like that of that nature. I'm here to say this very proudly, very honestly. I'm having a great time.
Well.
And like if you're not, I'm sorry. And I hate that for you. But I am having an amazing time. I love the pacing of it. I love the slow burn and the like intensity of everybody's scenes together. I love every time Nick Fury is on screen with somebody, they are dragging him for filth and telling him that he is a useless, impatient old man and he needs to get it together because he is getting people killed and he did not do half the things that he thought he did. And I love that. And I love how he's just trying to like still kind of combat with that. I love Gravik.
Mm,
Gravik is like what a villain. Wow. I
he's
just
fine.
he is like really killing his scenes. I just think the way they talk about everything that's going on is really good. Um I love the show. I don't know. I don't know. I love it.
I mean, it's all right. I will admit that I'm a little bored. Again, I think it's just because I don't know if this fits as a TV series to me. I think I would have preferred this to have been um, like a special feature, kind of like they did with the what's that girl you like? The Bloodstone people?
Oh, Werewolf by Night.
Yes, World by Night. I think that if they did something like that with this, I think I would have liked it more because of the whole like espionage route that they went. Because they went more that than like superhero infiltrating the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. I think that may have been a little bit more exciting as a TV series, but I think this probably would have just fit better as a special presentation
I don't know.
uh,
I will
show.
admit, and I said it last episode, I do still think I'm waiting for like a bigger named character to be revealed as a scroll. But I kind of like the fact that it's not necessarily the superheroes who are always just destroying stuff, but the people who have been replaced are the people in power. I think that makes the threat a little bit more menacing and it gives it a
They
little
took
bit
everyone, all the
they
people.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like they've gotten some really important people here, and like honestly, even in the scene where Graphic and Talos were in the cafe and they were like talking, and he kept bringing up Gaia, and then Talos goes to grab him, and then like everybody reveals themselves to be a scroll. Like I think things like that are like really really cool, and I think it has a much larger effect than like randomly seeing Steve Rogers be one, which would like be shocking, yes, of course, and it would like gag me, but at the same time, Steve Rogers has still been fighting for us this entire time.
Hmm.
So it's like, as opposed to these nation leaders who are kind of like terrorizing everything. So I thought that was like really cool to see. And then even like Talos, I thought this episode, how you were saying earlier that they kind of might be like merging some of those Super-Skrull features into him. I could see it based on this one. I thought he also came off very menacing. He had his moments where he was actually pretty scary. When he was trying to get the guy to give him the codes so they could stop that launch, it was like, oh, okay. And Fury was like, you need to be real and like act serious. And then he shot him and was like, okay, I'm serious. Like, this
He
is how
killed
you do
Skrull.
that. You know what I'm saying? So I really enjoy a lot of the dynamics that are at play here and how it's going. And yes, it's a little bit quieter on a lot of fronts, but I think it works.
We'll see as it keeps going. Let me read the synopsis and then we'll kind of
Mm.
dive a little bit more into the episode. So, Gravik reveals to the Skrull Council that he intends to create super Skrulls with special abilities using the powered DNA. He also explains that he has sent rebels to infiltrate the Royal Navy in order to launch missiles at a United Nations aircraft. Gravik meets with Talos to negotiate a parley, but the discussion breaks down when the former threatens to kill Gaia. Gaia secretly sends Talos information about the Royal Navy attack. Fury, angry that Talos allows so many Skrulls to infiltrate Earth, reluctantly asks Talos to help him stop Gravik. They contact Falsworth and learn the name of the Naval Command Headquarters officer in charge, Commander Robert Fairbanks. Fury and Talos break into Fairbanks' home and interrogate him, learning that he is a Skrull. He provokes Talos into killing him. Talos contacts Gaia, who acquires Fairbanks' authorization code so they can abort the missile launch in time. Gaia attempts to run away, but Gravik, who suspects her of betrayal, shoots her and leaves her for dead. Meanwhile, Priscilla secretly contacts an unknown person wishing to speak to Gravik, but is denied.
Priscilla also carried. She was another one who was
That's a
dragging
queen. I
through.
gotta give it up for
Like
her.
she was doing the damn thing there. When she was like getting fury on how he left and how he didn't come back, I was like, ooh, get him again. Um, Gaia. One thing I will say about this show is they love fridging a woman.
They do. They do. Hopefully,
It's a cop out of some sort, and like
then
she
that was
didn't
just
really
like a different
die, or like
scroll.
still made herself transform or something like that. I don't know, like something. But
Maybe it's not
I'm
Gaia. Maybe that was just a different scroll.
but still, it's just the thought of it. I've got my eye on you, Secret Invasion writers. I'm watching you very closely. But outside of that, I'm also kind of liking Gaia, and I'm liking how she is like still trying to play both sides and like get in and out. I think I would like, I don't know. Gravik knew what she was doing anyway, so it didn't really matter.
He knew.
He's the king again. But I've like enjoyed her stuff and how
Having
she's
a
been.
king, but you don't want her to get killed. Is it what you call
uh,
your one mic?
I mean, I'm just saying I can have conflicting emotions about the various characters on the series. All right, I'm just saying. But I really do like her character and what she's doing. I hope she isn't truly dead because I would like to see a little bit more of her in the show, and I would like to see Gaia do some other stuff. I know I've already seen some theories for people online talking about Gaia and how they think she's going to come back and kind of rebrand as Abigail Brand, and I don't know if I like that, but that also sounds like a very MCU thing to do.
Does. And what if they've obviously showed this machine that like the scrolls can go into and like they end up getting these abilities. Clearly, she probably is going to be pumped full
Yeah.
of DNA. Who knows what power she ends up getting? So
Yeah,
maybe she
most.
be, maybe she becomes Super Scroll.
I mean, I could see that happening as well.
Like
Look at
yeah.
the Taskmaster.
Oh no. Oh no. I didn't even think about that, but wow, you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, like
And
all of these possibilities are possible.
that's a wound. I don't know if that'll ever really heal. It hasn't healed yet. They have not really come back from that one for me. I did find it interesting that the voice that I heard when Priscilla was talking on the phone at the end of the show was Rhodey.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna scroll watch Rhodey.
That's what I heard. I heard Rhodey's voice, and I was like, "Oh, Rhodey is Skrull."
I might have to go back and listen, but I mean, I believe it. I definitely believe Rhodey's a scroll. I mean, if he's not, he's something.
You were talking. Yeah. Very that. um, and you were just talking about how you wanted to see like some like bigger, named characters do it. So like that would be, and he's fairly big enough,
And
who
I think
knows
that
how long he had been infiltrated.
and again, he has like a really high ranking position. He's someone who works under the president. I think I saw something that said we wouldn't see Don Cheadle suiting up as War Machine in this as well. So like that could also be a thing.
Mhm.
I think Rhodey also being what if they use that as the way to like talk about Terrence Howard?
Oh no.
Like,
That'd be
hey,
bad.
like you didn't see
That's
how
why
I've
you
been
changed.
changing over these years. But no, like again, I think that like that is something that also makes sense because it is Rhodey who's tied to Iron Man, and everybody knows Iron Man is like the gem of the MCU. So like imagine that being discovered. Like, oh, Tony's dead, his best friend's a Skrull. Rhodey's got to come back, maybe find out that Tony's dead because he don't know.
Who
I
knows
think,
when he got, swapped out.
yeah. I mean, again, he number one on my list.
Did they kill the originals? They say that? I can't remember.
The people they replaced.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were killing them. That's why they. But that's what I was also thinking about because they obviously have the people who they have kidnapped down there in that little
Like
cell.
trapped in their memories and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, do you have somewhere else? Would you keep other people? Because if you have gotten as many people as it looks like
That's
you've
what I'm
got,
saying.
it's
See,
like
some people had to get off, I think.
like somebody's lying. But and again,
Everybody
that's
ain't
what
make
Tyler
it.
said. He was like, everybody is here on Earth. So what's going on? I'm excited. I think it's really cool. I'm really hoping to see more of Olivia Colman's character again next issue. Um, I can. What next issue is for? That's the MCU formula where the show kind of like takes a little uptick, right?
Well, no, it's usually the fifth one.
Um, I mean, I've been enjoying them
It
all.
was This will start to do the uptick, and then the fifth one is when it's like the
Oh, stuff.
the penultimate episode is actually like, oh, things are happening.
Okay, well, we'll see that.
Budget.
Yes. Although the budget hasn't been bad. The scrolls that we've seen, I think they look pretty good.
The submarine scene looked very cheap when
Yeah.
they were the missiles scene. When they were in their own like little place where they were trying to like track the missiles and everything. That set looked a little cheap.
Yeah, it looked like the MCU.
That's where I'm ready for it to bring on the budget. Maybe we don't need to have everything be a show. Keep the same budget, just put it all towards a feature. Not a feature movie, a special presentation.
I was say because the movies don't do that much better.
No, I'm a special presentation, a nice hour long, hour
Although
15.
they said they fired that lady who was in charge of the visual effects, so we might see an uptick in that.
They did let her go. Yes, yes. We'll see. Hopefully, it's getting better.
Okay.
I really, really want Secret Wars to be dope, but it's one of my favorite comic events. But I don't know. We'll
Now,
see.
what's that other one you like? Galaxy Quest.
I think that's an old game, but it's
Some with
Operation
machine.
Galactic Storm.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the one. That is the one. That is the one. All right, y'all. But then that brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you guys rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcast. We can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. We're also on Threads. To start that, you can email us at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can watch us on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
Hold on, I'm just sorry. Did you say Threads?
Yeah,
I don't know
we
how
on
to
there.
use.
Well, you old, so.
But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. There's an underscore at the end. My IG has not switched over to Threads. I don't know.
You'll get that soon. Give it time. We'll all switch over at some point. All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and get up out of here. We'll catch y'all next week.
Peace.